When I was a young Christian, I heard the phrase, touch not my anointed. So that meant that you can't say anything to critique a man of God. Or if he says something that you don't think is right, then you're touching God's anointed. That means that you could be cursed. And some have actually cursed people because they don't agree with them on a point of doctrine or theology. Is that right? Is there a biblical basis for this? Of course, there are many ministers of the gospel who do a great job, a wonderful job. So this is not to bash pastors, but I'm just putting this out there for clarity, okay? Psalm 105 verse 15 is a text that has been used a lot to push this angle. And it says, do not touch my chosen people and do not hurt my prophets. Or like the traditional translations would say, touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. So obviously, if I am living in a way that might not be in line with the word, or I'm doing things that might not be in line with the word, or I am saying or teaching things that are not right, basically, that are off from scripture, and then somebody brings it to my attention or confronts me about this matter, then I could just turn around and say, you're touching God's anointed. You don't have no right to say nothing to me, and basically you're bringing a curse on yourself by touching God's anointed because you're disagreeing with me, or because you're saying I'm wrong. And some people have gone as far as, like I said before, cursing people for that reason. I've seen that back in the day on some TV channels. Anyway, now, if you read the whole psalm in its entirety, you know it's not talking about pastors, but I'm going to read some of it just for the sake of context, okay? So, if we pick it up from verse 8, it says, he always stands by his covenant, the commitment he made to 1,000 generations. This is the covenant he made with Abraham and the oath he swore to Isaac. He confirmed it to Jacob as a decree and to the people of Israel as a never-ending covenant. I will give you the land of Canaan as a special possession. He said this when they were few in number, a tiny group of strangers in Canaan. They wandered from nation to nation and from one kingdom to another. Yet he did not let anyone oppress them. He warned kings on their behalf. Do not touch my chosen people and do not hurt my prophets. So when you look at that, and if you read on, he talks about the famine in Canaan and all that. God protected Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. He protected those people while they were going up and down in Canaan. He looked out for them. And there were times when Abraham was, in Egypt and some things happened and God had to intervene. When he said Sarah was his sister and not his wife, and then they took Sarah from him, God had to warn the kings that you don't touch him. In fact, one of them, he said, he's my prophet. So that's what he was talking about, really, about the protection he gave them. He wasn't talking about preachers in the context. So how it magically became an insurance or a way of giving us some immunity from scrutiny, I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Let's be honest, church folks can get on your nerves sometimes, and I'm sure I've got on some people's nerves too. As a pastor, and also even as somebody not in ministry, when I was a young Christian, I'm sure some of my leaders, I drove them up the wall too. But cursing somebody because they ask questions, because they have a point of view, that is... it's just not biblical. It's just not right. Now, if you look at 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 25, Paul gave Timothy this advice. He says, gently instruct those who oppose the truth. See, folks will oppose the truth. There are people who will just oppose stuff. He says you should gently instruct those who oppose the truth. Perhaps God will change those people's hearts and they will learn the truth. Then they will come to their senses and escape from the devil's trap, for they have been held captive by him to do whatever he wants. Now that's a powerful statement and very insightful. But what I want to draw from it is the fact that there will always be those who oppose you. But Paul advised Timothy that, look, man, be gentle with them. Don't go hard. Be gentle. Just teach them. Just share the word. Be gentle. And show them the truth. And these are people that are in opposition to him. He didn't say you should curse them. He didn't say you should, touch not my anointed. He didn't say that. Take the time to read 2 Corinthians, the whole letter. It's amazing. It's eye-opening to see how Paul had to deal with a church that was more or less rebelling against him, and they had supplanted him with some super apostles. At no time did he curse them. He appealed to them. Look, there are times where you've got to be strong, firm, and bold. But cursing people, cursing someone who Christ died for, even when they're misguided. Anyway, until next time, God bless you. Have a wonderful Sunday.